Hello everyone, it's Miss Thomas, and today we are going to look at solving inequalities. So as a reminder, inequalities are less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So these are less thans. So the solution to an inequality is any value that makes the inequality true. And so the key for inequalities is there's actually more than one solution. So because there's more than one solution, a lot of times the solutions will be represented by a graph. And so we can have the greater than, the less than, the or equal to puts the line underneath it. And when we're graphing, we want to use an open circle for just the greater than and less than, and a closed circle for the or equal to, because the closed circle says I'm including that value. The open circle says it's not part of the solution set, but the solution set starts here. So we're just going to go ahead and graph these inequalities. So when I look at x greater than 5, these are inequalities with just one variable, so I just need to make one number line. You really just need to put a 0 for your own reference, and then whatever your number is. So in this case, it's a 5. Because it's x greater than, and not an or equal to, right, we're going to use an open circle. So I'm going to put an open circle on the 5, and x is greater than, so x's greater than 5 are to the right. So I draw an arrow to indicate my solution is any value to the right of 5. When I graph the x is greater than or equal to -6, because of that or equal to piece, I need a closed circle over 6 to say, over -6 to say that -6 is part of the solution. So again, it's just one variable. So you put your 0 as a reference, put your -6, and put a closed circle at the -6 to say -6 is also part of the solution. So it's at greater than again, so it's going to go to the right of -6. For our third graph, we have x is less than 7. So because it's a less than without the or equal to, it's an open circle, and x is less than 7 are to the left. Number 4, x is less than or equal to -1/2. Let's put that 0. -1/2 is to the left of 0. It's a less than or equal to. So numbers less than -1/2 are to the left. So you're not usually going to be given inequalities already solved for the variable, and you're going to have to solve for the variable. The nice thing about solving inequalities is it's just like solving an equation. You use the same rules. You get the variables together, isolate the variable using reverse order of operations. So we already know how to do step 1. Step 2 is the only thing that's really different. And step 2 is really important and is easily forgotten. You want to flip the inequality when you multiply or divide both sides of the inequality by a negative number. So an example of that would be if I have -x is greater than 4. Well, I don't really care what -x equals. I need to figure out what x equals. So keep in mind that if it's -x, it's like -1x. So I'm going to divide by a -1 to cancel that. Since I'm dividing both sides by a -1, I need to take this inequality and change it to a less than sign. So my answer will be x is less than negative 4. And really the reason for this, if I have negative x is greater than 4, another way I could get rid of the negative would be to add x to both sides, which would negative x plus x is 0, greater than x plus 4. And then I isolate the x. So I end up with negative 4 greater than x, which if you flip it around to the proper way of writing it, becomes the x is less than negative 4. So let's solve a couple of examples. We want to solve 5x plus 1 is less than 11. So I only have that x. All I need to do is get the x by itself. So the inequality works just like an equal sign. So we can put that boundary line so I know where the two sides of my inequality are, just like the two sides of the equation. And I still want to do reverse PEMDAS. So I want to eliminate addition and subtraction first, and then eliminate multiplication. So much work. And so we want to eliminate this plus 1 by subtracting 1. So if I do it on the left, I need to do it on the right. The ones cancel out. I am left with 5x. 11 minus 1 is 10. And I noticed a lot on the test, people are forgetting to bring their equal signs, or in this case, their inequalities down. You need to bring that inequality down the entire way. So now I have 5x is less than 10. A lot of you guys have the number sense to look at that and know what the answer is, but in the event you're just in the mode of solving, you would want to divide both sides by 5, and you're going to get that x is less than 2. So some people say, well, you just divided. Why didn't you flip the inequality? We divided by a positive 5, so the inequality stays the same. So we also are told to graph. So here's my 0, here's my 2. It's just a less than sign. So I'm going to put an open circle, and values less than 2 are to the left. And so just as a reminder, I know a lot of high schoolers really struggle with if this is a less than or greater than sign. So I always use Pac-Man. That's what I was taught with. Pac-Man is always going to eat the bigger number. So if Pac-Man's eating 2, it means that x is smaller than 2. Some people use an alligator. Whatever helps you out so you know that that's a less than sign. All right, let's look at another example. It's 3 minus 3x over 4 greater than 17. So my x is isolated, so I just want to use reverse order of operations. My 3/4 is connected by multiplication to the x, so I want to get rid of this 3 over here. So I am going to subtract 3 from both sides. These 3's will cancel. It'll be a negative 3x over 4 greater than 14. And so to cancel out the negative 3/4, I know this is something that we kind of struggled with last section. So you can either multiply by the reciprocal, or you can get in the habit of just breaking it down. So if I have a 4 in my denominator, I can multiply by 4 to cancel that out. So we have negative 3x is greater than 56. So now I have a negative 3x greater than 56. To get rid of the negative 3, I'm going to divide by negative 3 on both sides. So x, and because I'm dividing by negative 3, I'm going to flip this inequality, so x is less than a negative 56 thirds. And please, because it's a third, 3 doesn't go evenly into 56, so we're not even going to bother dividing it and making it a decimal, because it's going to be a continuous decimal, and we don't really want to use that, a non-terminating decimal. So I'm just going to go ahead and graph this. So I know 0 is here, negative 56 thirds is going to be over here. It's a less than sign, so I want an open circle, and x is less than 56 thirds are to the left. So this is my solution. So now it's your turn. You need to go ahead and solve 5 less than or equal to 4 minus n and graph that as well.